Number 2 would be Chicago, the Second Crucifixion.
Dad's life was so incredibly paradox that I found that some of the most bizarre things were true and some of the most mundane things weren't. So when I first heard the Second Crucifixion, I had my doubts. But I found the article in the Chicago paper that they nailed an immigrant to a cross, and he could have bled to death. And Dad loved milking it for the details, where these 2 Irish cops, and it's a Saturday night, are working the beat when they hear a voice sort of saying, help me, and they look around with their lights and there's nothing, and they look up and they cannot believe their eyes. There is a man bleeding to death, nailed to a cross. They don't know what to do. Dad used to say they're looking in their book under, let's see, cats, catastrophes. There's nothing on the crucifixion, so they have to call the office. And the sergeant says, Murphy, if you've been drinking again, you're out of this. We'll send a squad. Because it turned out that it took more than 2 guys to lift the guy off an elevated track support down to the ground who is nailed to a cross. And I'll tell you one thing, they knew somebody else did it, because you cannot nail yourself to a cross. You can maybe do the first hand, but you're not going to do the second hand. And that man was Fred Walker, who stayed friends with Dad, lived in Modesto, California, and had the whole scars from his hands. All the police could get out of him, and this is the connection, he was dying for Dr. Bronner's peace plan. Sort of like the Vietnamese monks who burnt themselves to really bring attention to something they didn't like. It was one of the most bizarre incidents I ever heard about, and it was covered in the Chicago Tribune, the Second Crucifixion. By the way, that didn't help Dad when later they used that as part of why he needed to be in the insane asylum.
Is that right?
Yeah.